I'm not. Yeah, I used to work in Tokyo. Yeah, but I'm not cool enough to hang out in these like 25 wards. You know, I'm a small town boy.
Hello, and welcome to episode 159 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I am your host, Mike Salbato, and I am joined today by a great panel to talk about menu themes today, starting with Gio.
Hey.
Hey, hasn't been too long since you've been on, so welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Tin has not been here in a while, but we're glad to welcome her back to the show.
Hi. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt, you've been on our other two podcasts, but this is your first time on Rhythm Encounter.
Howdy, I'm here to complete the trifecta.
Yeah, really excited to have you. You become our newest music person on the site. So, I mean, you do more than that, but you're definitely a big music fan. So I'm really happy to have you here.
And I've been itching to get on Rhythm for a while, so I'm really happy to be here.
I know. What was the last one that we were trying to get you on, but then like there was too much competition?
Xenoblade.
It was Xenoblade. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of competition on that one. So I told Matt, I'm like, look, we don't have I told the whole panel, like we had like 2 extra people. And I'm like, look, whoever can like volunteer to drop off this, I felt like I was at an airport offering like, rebates or something if you like move to a later flight. Whoever can move off of this one, like I'll get you on an episode coming up soon. So that's how Matt ended up here.
But I think I won out in the end. I was really excited for this topic. So
yeah, it's a really fun one. Yeah, we did this topic in episode 71, which was back in 2021. So it seemed like enough time had passed. Obviously, there's a lot of RPGs out there, and I don't know of any that don't have some kind of title screen theme. So the pool of possible songs for this is large. So I feel like it's a topic we could just constantly go back to, and there'd always be something to talk about. So yeah, I'm happy we're revisiting it. But before we get into our title screens and menu screen themes, we always like to talk about what we're listening to lately. So what have you all been listening to lately? Let's start with Matt, since this is your debut.
Yeah, so as a kid, I was a really big fan of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtracks, and they just announced the remake of Tony Hawk 3 and 4 coming, I think, in August. And Tony Hawk himself on his social media, he announced that the redone soundtrack, the licensed soundtrack, is releasing, and they've dropped 2/3 of the soundtrack, and it's like 2 hours of rap, punk, heavy rock, like that kind of thing, including like old tracks and new tracks. So it's a really great playlist. I've been listening to that for a while now, waiting on the third chunk to come out sometime.
Oh, very cool.
It's cool. I haven't played the Tony Hawk games myself, but I'm like generally aware of the soundtracks being really good, like pop punk.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like me, like that want to be cool. I think we use like the Tony Hawk soundtrack to like as a gateway into like a lot of great music. So it's very formative for people like me. But yeah,
I think the closest. Yeah, did it work?
Is that why you're cool now?
You tell me.
Well, we don't hire uncool people, right? Like we don't do that.
I really try not to. Yeah.
The venting process. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm here, you know the answer already.
Exactly.
I feel like the closest experience, or like the closest analog I have to that, is like the WWE games. Like I used to play the ones in the PS2.
Oh, yeah.
And the soundtracks are like really similar, but way less cool because it's like butt rock or something like that. It's
man,
like
SmackDown versus Raw. Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
SmackDown versus Raw. Yeah. It's like Papa Roach or something, or Limp Bizkit or something like that.
Chia,
Yo.
Chia.
Well, as for what I've been listening to, nothing new. I've been like revisiting like my old playlist, like on YouTube. Like if I see a song I've never heard before and I like it, I put it in a playlist. And I'm going through one of those times where like I'm cycling back and listening to all the songs I've collected, which is how I discover a lot of VGM. And I've recently like rediscovered there's this game D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die
Oh yeah.
on the
Okay.
Xbox, yeah, and Xbox One, and the main theme goes hard. It's crazy. Like you probably don't know it,
I don't know this.
but like you probably heard it because like I always like
you
play.
always play something on the background.
Yeah. So I've been listening to that like over and over. It's so good. Maybe I'll bring it. I think it counts. I don't know if it
What's the
counts.
title of the track?
Theme of D4.
Uh-huh.
Theme of D4. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to at work and when I'm not working. Just that song over and over. So yeah.
Well, for me, I actually haven't been listening to any. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those times when I'm not in the mood, or maybe I'm just really too busy lately trying to catch up on a lot of things. But since I live with someone here who plays a lot of music, and lately he was playing a lot of Sonic R.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sonic
it's
Oh,
stuck
wow.
in my head most of the time.
R. Do you guys know that game,
The-
Sonic R?
Yeah, like the foot racing one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but that soundtrack is legendary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's so
So,
good. It shouldn't
there's-
be sometimes, but it is.
Yeah, one of the tracks that are like really stuck in my head in a loop is like Living in the City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the name of the track. So
Living
yeah.
in the city.
Did Crush 40 do that or? like-
No,
Oh no,
I
okay,
don't
okay.
think so.
Mhm.
Because
It's like
the
this
Sonic Hero
guy-
soundtrack is fantastic too. Like I
Oh,
love that one. Yeah, you would love
I
that.
haven't heard it.
I'm sure he will.
I know I would. Yeah, I should
Yeah.
check it out.
It is. Can you feel the sunshine? Is Sonic R, right? It's not one of the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah. That's the really big one
Mm-hmm,
from
mm-hmm.
that soundtrack.
Did I tell you? I mean, I'm not sure how interesting this is for the show at large, or our listeners at large. But when we saw the 8-bit big band in Boston, they actually did that song live, and I was like beside myself because I've never thought of anyone playing that live.
Wow.
That's cool.
It was really cool.
Oh man. Oh no, that's what I'm gonna listen to when we're done. This.
Yeah, no, I
Brilliant.
recommend it. No, Sonic R is so much fun.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What have you been listening to?
Well, it's a tricky one for me because Hillary and I recorded the episode that's going up 2 weeks before this one, less than a week ago. So a lot of what I've been listening to was stuff that I was listening to for that episode, which was all about new music. So I listened to the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth acoustic album, really good.
Yep.
The Avowed soundtrack, which I didn't know anything about that soundtrack. It didn't end up making it on the episode, but I was really impressed by it.
You were wowed.
I was a wowed.
Wow.
Citizen Sleeper 2 is, of course, beautiful.
Yeah.
My most recent discovery, as of a few days ago, because it literally released March 25th, and I found it on Apple Music March 26th, is an Stardew Ambient album. It's a short, it's like a half-hour album by Game Chops. Unsurprisingly, Stardew music lends itself very well to that. Ambient or lo-fi, and it's got all of those treatments, but it's good. It's a good little like half-hour background music kind of thing.
Sick.
Yeah.
Should check that out.
I love Game Chops.
Yeah, they've been killing it lately.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I feel like they're always putting things out. Just like, hey, did you know about this? Well, because it's out now. I keep being surprised by the stuff they're releasing.
Do you want to fall asleep to this game? Yes, please. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually a good segue to our first track.
Yeah.
If we're talking about like relaxing, sleepy stuff, so maybe that's a good time to move on. So yeah, menus and title screens. I think we mostly end up with title screens. There's often not much of a difference, but every once in a while, I think we call it that just to cover both bases. But yeah, so we're gonna start with some peaceful songs that just happen to be by the same composer. So I am starting us out with Somnus, the instrumental version of Somnus from Final Fantasy 15 by Yoko Shimomura. And then Matt, you have our second song today. What do you have?
I'm stealing the version of Dearly Beloved from Kingdom Hearts 3, also composed by Yoko Shimomura.
Awesome. All right, let's go listen to Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. All right, so that was Somnus. Well, it was Somnus and Dearly Beloved, but we're talking about Somnus first. And I will do my best not to deviate and talking about the game itself too much, but you know how I am. I can't make any promises. Um, I've said before on this show and other shows that I really actually did enjoy 15. But I've also said on the show that no matter how you feel about the game, whether their method of storytelling works for you or not, it's really hard to deny that them choosing to give Yoko Shimomura a mainline Final Fantasy game was anything but a fantastic decision. I was, when they announced that, I was excited, and just the soundtrack lived up to exactly what I was hoping for. She is just such a talent, and those talents extend beyond piano and like heartfelt strings and stuff, but like that is something she really excels at, and that is on display across the whole soundtrack. But this song, in some form or another, and I hope I got this right, but I think it existed. It was one of the first songs we heard, because I feel like there was a version of it released, or at least a preview, like before the game was even called Final Fantasy 15. Because I think it's in one of like the Theater Rhythm games, labeled as like Final Fantasy Versus 13 even. That's how much this song predated the rest of the game. But it's so like somber and powerful. Like it's such a great accompaniment to just the title screen of this game, just setting up like the mood, and just the way it builds, especially like by the second half of the song, it's just so moving. I feel like maybe more moving if you like know and care about the characters, maybe, but you know, I feel like I got that even before playing it. And like I said earlier, like despite the high bar that this song set for like the rest of the game, I feel like everything else on the soundtrack did live up to that. So it's a good like teaser, I guess, about what you're in for musically. So I've always been a big fan of this one.
Yeah, it, for me, as someone who hasn't played 15, like it elicits kind of like a tragic feeling for me. I am vaguely like aware of like some very serious stuff happening in the game towards the end, so I feel like it's gesturing towards that. But that's just what I was feeling listening to it. I was like, this is sad. Like this is Noctis's like struggle or something, and it really is, you know, more evidence that Yoko Shimomura is the GOAT, because like she's able to make so many title themes, like outside of the two in this block. Like there's the Xenoblade Chronicles main theme that is like amazing also.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. And I'm just amazed by like the level of melody she's able to craft. I don't know. I just think she's just amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love this song, and I do like 15 as a game, and the soundtrack as a whole is so diverse and so fantastically composed all the way through. Like, there's nothing she can't do. But the song itself, like, I'm more of a fan, like you said, Mike, in the trailers for Versus 13 that happened, with like Noctis getting driven around in like an Audi or something. The like opera version, the vocal version, like replacing the solo violin. It's a totally different vibe, a lot more like grand, but this title version with the violin is so I don't know, somber, elegant. Listening to it, it really makes me think of like an empty throne room. Like I can imagine Noctis like not wanting to do his duty, but he has to, and then like as it picks up, like the other strings joining in, like the party members in the game itself. And we were just talking before, the lyrics. If you look up the lyrics for the vocal version, I didn't know this until recently. They're all in Latin, and it's like this really dark poem about like tragedy and everything being divided. But then the final stanza is like, through the endless night in despair, he can see the dawn, the time of awakening in the morning. And I think for anyone that has beaten Final Fantasy 15, the title screen actually changes from like night into day, and the theme itself changes to like a completely different uplifting song. So I think that's really cool that they did that. You don't see that very often in like Final Fantasy games, I think. But yeah, great track.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with the part when you said like you imagine that this song is like really for Prince Noctis, because that's also like what I've gotten from this track, especially the first time I played this game. Like I already knew a few background about the game, but like just listening to this track, you know that it feels royal, something like that, or it feels Gio was mentioning earlier that it kind of feels like a tragedy, or like something's gonna happen or something, but in a way, because of the tempo of this track, it also feels calming to me. Like it also feels solemn, like in the beginning, how it slowly builds up. So yeah, like what you all said about Shimomura is like, this is what she's really good at. It's like really evoking multiple emotions in each track that she would come up with. So this is one of the really good ones, I'd say.
Here.
Yeah. Well, if you guys play it, I recommend it, even though I know it's not for everyone. I think it can be a good time. I've actually done most of the DLC, and like the game changed and expanded so much with all the DLC and the Royal Edition and all that. Like I didn't play any of that, so it's probably a better game than what I played anyway.
I would say like play it and mainline the story, like skip every single side quest and you'll have a better time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Anyway, you want to talk about your Kingdom Hearts song, Matt?
Oh, please. Yeah. This is a track that I'm sure that like millions of people are a fan of Dearly Beloved, either from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, as like a lullaby, as this kind of like calming thing, right? They're both really beautiful enough to be even featured on the last episode, the last title theme episode that you guys did, and rightly so. This version, even though like, I'm not going to say it's not my favorite, but it's so different from the first two and the rest of the series. It starts off like a little bit odd, and then it gets into the familiar of Kingdom Hearts 1, that really simple piano melody. It evolves into like, incorporating other instruments with the Kingdom Hearts 2 melody. And then like a minute and a half in, it just like takes off higher and higher and higher. Like it sounds like the gates of heaven opening. It's like, I remember playing this game, and I was of the age where I was waiting 14 years for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out, right? I would have paid $300 for it at the time. I was so into it. And I remember just like booting it up, and I like to just like kind of sit back and let the title screen hit me, like in most new games. And I think I accidentally watched the title like loop for about 15 minutes, and it just blew my hair back. Like it's, I've been receding ever since. And I remember like leaving my bedroom and going to see my friend, and like it's like I needed a drink. I was like, oh my gosh, this game's gonna be amazing. And I'm not gonna talk about the game, but the music was fantastic. The music was worth the wait. But
yeah, we're talking about the music here.
Yeah. Sorry, I gotta calm down. Actually, though, I just looked up earlier a interview on SquareEnix.com, like their website. They interviewed Yoko Shimomura about each of the Dearly Beloved tracks. I can like drop the link later. And for this one specifically, she said, I'll just read a little bit. In the introduction, I wanted to create a little bit of doubt to make something seem a bit different and strange, then follow it up with the familiar refrain to make the listener feel as though they've come home. And I think for me and a lot of people, like it did feel like like I'm a preteen again. Like it was a really cathartic moment. But yeah, I love this track. Oh, and one more thing that's been on my mind. When I hear this song, I don't know why, maybe this is like a weird cut to make, but it really reminds me of the Elvis Presley version of Unchained Melody. Does anybody know what I mean when I say that?
No, I
Oh,
do not, but I'm intrigued.
I'll have to listen. I know that song. Yeah.
Yeah, like his version that he performed like a week before he died or something. It's like a really like he's hammering the piano like they're doing here, and just like the takeoff of it really reminds me of this track. They're both really great songs, but yeah, love this track.
Yeah, as do I. I think I had a similar thought process. Like the first time I heard this song, I was kind of upset at first. Why isn't it? Where's my dearly beloved motif? And then I could hear like hints of it slowly bubbling up, and then the big, what's that word? Like resolution, climax, the song, and I'm like, yes. And I was, and I, I'm not the biggest Kingdom Hearts fan, but I do listen to the music a lot. And I am willing to say this is like my favorite.
Among all of the versions?
Yeah, among all of the versions I've heard, because it does try something new and it's very successful at it, I think. And it's like more rewarding to listen to that way, I think. And yeah, it's a shame about the game, but we'll always have the music.
I didn't think in a block about Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 that Kingdom Hearts 3 would be the one that we were less positive on, but here we are. I think that's an interesting take. I wonder, Gio, you think it's your favorite one, but would it be if you didn't have the context of the other ones?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's the reason why it's your favorite.
It could be, yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's interesting to think about, especially with that bit of the interview that Matt read. It's like, because I was thinking that too. I'm like, this is really nice. I like it. But like, I had the same thoughts where at the beginning, I'm like, what is this? Like, this isn't what I was expecting at the very beginning, but the way it comes together in the end and the way it like kind of soars and it's so like beautifully orchestrated. And yeah, I'm glad that I didn't have that in my head when I listened, because that is the feeling I got. It did feel like this like coming home moment. So obviously she achieved that.
And it feels like Shimomura like popping off after however many Kingdom Hearts games. She's like, oh, you want it? Like, this is 100%, like everything on the table.
Yeah.
So I love it for that.
Yeah. For me, it's just the delayed gratification of it all. Like, it's interesting to listen to. I don't know. Like, it's like when I'm listening, when it comes up like in my playlist, like it's like I hold my breath waiting for the motif, and it's like I get engaged in the song. Like, it's like it's different. It's different than the other versions of the song. So
it's like when you boot up the game, it's impossible not to listen to the whole thing too. I will say that. Yeah.
Well, opposite to Gio, like my favorite version is still actually the very first one, but I all of you already have mentioned like exactly what Shimomura was trying to do here, but I don't know how she does it. Like while not everyone like are actually pleased with the game, like every sequel it releases, but the music or the soundtrack just never fails. It's like every single time she'd release an entire soundtrack for the game, and like coming up to that, she would always find a way to just make that a new arrangement really, I wouldn't say like really better, because that could also be subjective to others, but like you can tell that it's a step up from the last one. So
yeah, she's doing something different each time. Yeah, which is important,
and like more ambitious each time.
Yeah. All right, well, again, both of these then there is definitely a mixed reception to both of these games, but you can't really deny the music. Actually, this is a good time to bring up. I'm going to drop a link in our show notes because we did actually do an episode specifically on her music back in episode 61, also in 2021. So if you want more Shimomura in your ears, check out Rhythm Encounter episode 61. That'll be in our show notes. And that brings us to our second block. Tin, you're going to be kicking off this block, so what are we starting with?
Today I'm bringing Solramimi by Kazuki Yanagawa from Atelier, Ryza, Ever Darkness, and the Secret Hideout.
Those game titles are so long. And then to balance this out, Gio, your song and game name are a little shorter. So what do you have?
Yeah, I'm bringing Title, composed by Hideki Tobeta from the game Community Porn. I mean, Palm. Community Palm.
Oh no, I hadn't been reading it like that, but now I'm going to.
Cut.
Oh boy. All right, so Atelier Ryza, a game I very much am aware of, and Community Palm, a game I'd never heard of until 2 days ago. I'm excited to talk about this. This is a very interesting choice, so let's go take a listen.
Yeah, that was both two really like how Mike named this block as like those two songs felt really cheerful. um, I'm gonna start with my track, which is Solramimi, and actually I don't really have that much background when it comes to the Atelier franchise, especially with the music. I do know the gameplay, like, and I did have like, I think it was Rorona. Yeah, that was the first Atelier that I bought before. But I actually never have gotten around to playing it because I was still very busy with college back then. So, um, with this track, this is actually also my first Ryza game. Well, I started with this because this is the first game, and I was also quite blown away with the soundtrack because the intro music even before this title screen was also really good, and leading up to this is also like, even though how repetitive it sounds, I can listen to it over and over again. The repetition is also seamless, I'd say. And apart from it, me sounding too cheerful and stuff, I also get the hints of it like sounding a bit magical, and like I know that it's also just gonna be like a light and relaxing game, I'd say. And that's what it that's how it turned out for me. So I'm glad that I actually gave this series a try, and that uh, Ryza did not disappoint gameplay wise and also musically inclined wise. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this Solramimi. Even I don't exactly know what it means.
Yeah, I was curious what the title was.
I have
If
no
it's
idea.
an in-game term or something.
It's not mentioned in game, from what I
Okay.
know. Yeah.
I thought it was like the music, the Solramimi.
Oh.
Like I don't know. But I
Oh.
assumed that.
Oh.
But
Oh, maybe, yeah.
You might be right. Yeah.
Well, I'm just glad you brought this one on because there's been probably more than this, but like let's just say the last year or so, like so many times we'll do a topic and I'm like, I know and like several soundtracks in this series. I've listened to more soundtracks in this series than I've played the games, and I continually I keep not finding the right place for music. So like I keep not bringing stuff on for this series. So I'm glad that you did this when I could not. So I think I also bought Verona first and then didn't really play it much either. I got that. I started playing Aisha, and they're really cute, but there's something about the time limits on the earlier games that I just don't care for. It's less the time limits and more the fact that it's like missable content. Like if you don't do this thing, like you can't do it anymore. And I don't know. I don't think I have the patience for that. But I don't think any of the games do that anymore. So maybe I should get back into them because I really like them otherwise. The concept and this song is so. I like that you said magical. That's a good one. And on top of the other words I came up with, like cheerful and serene, it really captures that like lighthearted, like adventuring theme that these games are known for. So yeah, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, just to add as well that like when I decided to try to play this, I was like also going through like stressful situations in real life, and so when I picked this up, I was like, oh my god, this is like the relaxation that I needed. So
yeah.
it was nice. It was a breath of fresh air.
It's like a warm hug, this song.
Yeah.
You know, I too have never played any of the Atelier games, but I've been really curious about them recently, especially with like that new one that just came out that got a really, high praise from RPG fan. But as soon as I heard this track, I like went and added it to my Spotify playlist, like the whole soundtrack, and like, yeah, it's so warm and inviting, and like I love a good town theme, and this feels like everything is like a cute town theme, And I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but it reminded me of the soundtrack to Your Name, the like 2016
Oh yeah,
Makoto Shinkai movie.
it is close. I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, like all the
Or I can
Radwimps
hear
soundtracks.
the resemblance. Yeah.
I can see the music. No. But, no, but I know what you mean. Like it's it has like the same atmosphere, like the kind of like dewdrop piano quality,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I get a lot of that from like Final Fantasy 13 as well in places. But yeah, I love that soundtrack, and I love this soundtrack now. Like I'm really getting into this lately, so thank you for showing it to me. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm glad.
Well, I mean, as for me, I feel like this song is like a really good encapsulation of the series as a whole, because it like everyone said, it's cheerful, it's magical, and this is like this
it's
makes
wholesome.
yeah, it's part of the reason why I guess Atelier Ryza is like a really good intro to the series, because it's like immediately you kind of like understand what to expect for the game. And yeah, it's just really good. Like I never got tired of listening to it every time Tin would play it. This is also like the song that plays like when you put the disc in the PS5, PS4. So
And during the startup.
and I like it. It's always pleasant. I really really like it. And I guess I'll just move on to
Yeah.
my contribution.
Yeah, I'm excited about what you're gonna say here.
No.
Me too.
From magical we go, from upbeat we go to like really unhinged upbeat, like an upbeat to like a kind of scary level. So to explain a bit, like Community Palm is this really it is obscure. It's an obscure PS1 game, never came out in English, but it did get a fan translation, and it's essentially kind of like Secret of Mana, like in terms of like style and like the way, like how it, in terms of like how it looks and like how it plays. But there's like a certain something off about it, I guess. Or I haven't played it myself, but like I am familiar with this soundtrack because it's very good. I actually became acquainted with this soundtrack through the ending theme rather than the opening theme, because the ending theme is a really really good example of like Shibuya Kei, like that genre of music from the 90s. And it's funny because the composer of this soundtrack, Hideki Tobeta, he's not in the music business these days, in the VGM music, in the video game music business these days, but he did go on after Community Palm to do Soul Calibur, and then after Soul Calibur he did a little game called Katamari Damacy. Like he was part of the team that made that soundtrack.
Wow, that's right.
Music?
Yeah,
that soundtrack is really
trajectory.
good though.
yeah,
Fantastic.
and yeah, and so I found it really interesting, and I really wanted an opportunity to share this soundtrack for that reason. And I really like this soundtrack too, by the way. It's like really really good. And the interesting feature of this song, the most interesting feature of this song is like the ending, when the sample comes in, the sample of like two girls talking like, ooh, what's the vibe, I love, something like that, and it's because I like, when I heard it, it's like I know where this is from. Like it's like one of the few times like I recognize the sample, because there's this experimental pop group called Doopies, and then they've only ever released like one album. It's a Japanese like pop group, and then this is like from the opening track of that album.
Oh, so
It's
they
called-
got it.
Yeah, he lifted the sample
What?
from there. Yeah, it's
Wow.
called What's the Time, Doopies. Yeah,
So they probably asked permission, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how much Hideki Tobeta respected like intellectual property, but but the result, this album, if you can like listen to it on YouTube, it's a trip. Like it's crazy. It does really really interesting things I've never heard on the PS1. And the composer doesn't do VGM anymore, but he does still do music, and I think he does mostly like ambient-ish music nowadays, but it's always very interesting. Like he's a very very idiosyncratic composer that I really recommend.
Wow, nice. I was all prepared to talk about how I'm always impressed that you bring on things here that like I've never heard of, because like it's no secret that I often talk about things on here. It's like, oh well, I haven't played that yet because I'm just too busy. I listen to music more than I play games, but I've been with RPG Fan long enough that like most of the time I've at least heard of things, even if I've never played them. And people tell me, it's like, oh wow, you know all these weird things. Like people like me and Solosi like are pretty good about, we at least know of stuff, and you too. But like as much as I think I know, and like I've at least heard of like a lot of obscure things, you're constantly finding things that I've never even heard of. So I'm like, I'm impressed that you know of this game at all, and then the fact that you went the next step and was like, "Oh, I also know where these little samples at the end of the song are from." Like, I can't compete with that. I'm really impressed. Would you say?
Thank you. I'm a nerd, so
well, yeah, but I find that impressive. It's interesting. Like, so the game's from 1997, so I guess it's not terribly surprising, but it looks like it could have been a Super Nintendo game, like a late generation. Mm-hmm. It looks so much like Secret of Mana or like Tales of Fantasia, I guess, in terms of like just the detail of the sprites. It's really cute. I didn't actually listen to any other songs yet, but you've convinced me that I should. The song is interesting. Like it's really short and it starts like sort of abruptly. It's just like there all of a sudden, like it can't wait to like just get going. And I looked up a video of the game's intro and title screen because I wanted to see what it went with. And I don't know. Yeah. So it's the same way in the game. Like there is a short like softer like intro piece, and then the second the title screen comes up, it just bam, like just this song just starts. There's no lead in, there's no fade. It's just like here it is.
It's like this frenetic like little girl running, like palm maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. The palms are like the little rabbit like things.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
Yeah, the very little bit I read about is I guess like there's something going on in town or whatever where like these monsters are causing mischief and everyone thinks it's the palms, and then like you play the girl trying to like say like no the palms are good and
they're harmless.
Yeah. So I don't know, that was it. Everything about this was very surprising. It was strange, but more than anything it was just fun and delightful. So I want to check out the rest of the album too. And it's cool that there's a fan translation, because I don't think this is a game that we're going to get localized ever.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's lost to time for sure.
Yeah.
As a fan of the show, I was like eagerly awaiting. I'm like, okay, what's Gio going to cook up? And I was not disappointed by this or the other pick. But weird game, but I'm very intrigued. What was it about the game? Oh my god, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that's right. I have to ask, Gio, the YouTube channel that this is uploaded onto, did anyone else notice? Gio64.
Oh.
I was like, is this not Gio?
It is not me.
Oh, okay. I was thinking okay, he's like subtly plugging his like obscure music YouTube channel. I respect that, but
Gio, if you have an obscure music YouTube channel and you've not
Please.
shared it with us, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
Oh, I can share like my playlist.
There's so many
Okay,
playlists, guys.
I would love that.
I think the RPG fan community should like follow Gio's playlists on Spotify. Like that would be really cool. But yeah, I think you guys covered everything. It did remind me, like you mentioned, like the Shibuya K kind of thing. Like yeah, I did think of like KPP and like that kind of bubblegum pop,
Mm-hmm.
like Kyari Pamu Pamu. So yeah, really really fun track, and like I love how fast it starts off, and like ending with that weird sample that you mentioned, like perfect. I'm in already. So yeah, I loved it.
You should listen to the ending, because
I got it now. Yeah.
I'll link it later in Slack, because it's crazy. It's crazy what they were able to accomplish. Like when I think it's contemporary. It's 1997, right? So like what else came out, like Beyond the Beyond and FF7? Sorry,
I'm like, something else came out that year.
I was blanking like what came out in 1987. Yeah, episode 7. But yeah, there was cool stuff going on in the PS1, even way back, and this is one of them. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of you already like mentioned as well how surprised you guys were. Like even when I was picking my songs for this episode, I was also curious like what is Gio going to bring this time? Because when I picked out my songs, he wasn't ready yet, if I recall.
No, I was done already.
Oh, you were. Sorry.
No,
Wait.
Gio was first on this one.
Okay, never mind. He's always ahead of us.
Yeah.
Anyways, when I did listen to his track, I immediately asked him, where the hell did you get this from? I've never like all of you. I've never heard of this game, and I've never heard of this soundtrack, and without any context, like I haven't even been researching about it yet, or like I didn't know what the game looks like or whatsoever. For me, initially, actually, the thought that I had while listening to it is like it sounds like it's something you can hear from like a, I don't know, like a bar, like a night bar or something.
A night bar that serves like fentanyl,
No.
ketamine, or something like that.
Like Valhalla?
I don't know, like a
And then you just have,
Gen
and then you have the
Z
singer.
young bar.
Yeah, and then you have like someone in the background, like just like weirdly like singing, whispering, or whatever. These
Yeah.
little things. You're sitting there drinking this, you suddenly hear like the way it is. Yeah.
like suddenly the DJ would probably talk in the background and whisper something.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm tripping out at the bar and someone's asking me what time it is. Yeah, to go home.
I don't know. That's just the funny thought that I got from this track, and to my surprise, when I did Google it and found the title screen itself, this isn't what I expected at all. Like the way it looks, I mean, it does sound cute. So I would also expect like really cute visuals as delivered, but I don't get it. I don't get the connection. I gotta be honest here.
Yeah, there's a kind of a disconnect between the soundtrack and like how the game actually
Yeah.
looks like. I agree.
It looks like
Except
Tomba
that they-
to me. The Tomba
Oh
games.
yeah, it does.
Like,
yeah,
visually.
yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's part of why the soundtrack's so good, because like it doesn't suit the game. It's kind of like Katamari Damacy.
Gio has to defend.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Right. Well, at least one of us has to actually play the game after this.
I'll find it. I'll find it in like some back alley shop, and I'll play it.
No, there's actually one person I know I can count on to like have played.
This one?
I like name an RPG, name like a game.
Is this
He's
Ben?
probably played it. Ben, yeah, Ben Love.
Oh, Ben.
Ask Ben.
Yeah.
Ben-
That's true. If anyone has
Yeah.
played it.
Shout out to Ben.
Yeah. Okay. We will ask him that. But in the meantime, I think we could move on to our third block. Cool. All right, Matt, you finally get to... Oh, not finally. You finally get to introduce your second song. Anyway, what are we starting off with next?
So I'm bringing Dragon Age Origins, the name of the song from the same game, Dragon Age Oranges, or Dragon Age Tangerines, by composer Inon Zur. Yep, so great track.
Thank you for that. Slowly will appreciate that reference too. And Tin, what is your next song?
My next song is Off-Seer by Yasunori Mitsuda from the famous or well-known Xenoblade Chronicles tree.
I'm so happy today that we can work a Mitsuda and Shimomura song into this
Mhm.
episode. All right, let's go listen to Dragon Age Origins and Off-Seer.
So, Dragon Age Origins. Yeah, I love this track. I mean, I've listened to Inon Zur's soundtracks for Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 for a long time, ever since I played the game in high school. And, as a kid, I was familiar with Knights of the Old Republic, just like another BioWare game. But I never connected the dots between that game and like Dragon Age Origins. So I still remember my closest, oldest friend inviting me over to his apartment, and he's like, "You got to see this game. Like, you can be a dwarf, you can be a whatever. There's like a million origin stories that you can play through." And I remember him booting up the game, and that fake elven song kicking in, right, which is different actually from the elven in the game. It was just like written by Inon Zur himself, like just says, okay, this sounds elf-ish enough, right? And I remember just being like entranced by that singing, and then like the kind of dark spawn like march kicks in, and it's like balancing like tug of war back between the elven and the dark spawn kind of theme. And then it just like, I'm like, this can't get any better. And then like the like soaring climax of that song kicks in, and like, I just like, I was hooked from the music, even though the menu itself is quite plain. I love this track so much, and I really love all the fake vocal tracks that Inon Zur does in his Dragon Age soundtracks. Like Dragon Age 2 has a lot more of this kind of style. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this track. Oh, and the vocals in the beginning, they're by a woman named Aubrey Ashburn, who does actually a lot of VGM related stuff. So yeah, definitely worth checking her stuff out. But yeah, what did you guys think?
For me, as someone who knows not one thing about Dragon Age, I was both struck by how much I expected it to sound like this, but also it also kind of does things I didn't expect. I don't know, something about it, first of all, is very restrained. Something about the song, to me, feels like it always it never hits that high gear. Like it feels like it's hiding something from you. It feels like Inon Zur's like, I'm gonna save my best work for like later in the soundtrack, but this is like a taste of what I can do.
It's a teaser.
Like yeah. And I was also really struck by the vocals, like you mentioned, because I guess I'm a sucker for that kind of thing, because it is just entrancing. Like I love it when Emmy Evans does something like it, and I love it now with Dragon Age Origins. Like it's always like a cool ace in the hole to have for a song, I think. When it's just really, really, really good at setting the mood. It's a very effective song.
And it is very like Lord of the Rings-y, maybe that's part of why I was so into it.
Yeah. I was expecting like a Lord of the Rings-ish song. And it is that. But I feel like there's a lot, Inon Zur like really put a lot of care and thought into the composition of this song. I just feel it. Just have like this gut feel.
Yeah, similar to Geo, I also haven't played Origins, but like listening to this as well as like, as you guys mentioned, that she sounds really entrancing. For me, it sounds like a, I don't know, like a beautiful siren singing underwater or something, because it sounds really cold and it blends well with everything that goes along with it. And it's actually good that it started off with that before they like started pumping the, I don't know what kind of instrument this is,
some sort of brass.
yeah, something along the track, and that one actually like amplifies the track more, of making it feel grand right after. But like what you said, that it seems like this track has like some sort of restraint to it. I do see it. Like you're trying to say that there's like sense of control of like comparing it to the tracks like earlier with Dearly Beloved, when at first it was just like really solemn at first and then hits you with that familiarity and then just suddenly blows you away. This one is like um a lot more controlled, that it keeps its momentum until the end,
Hmm.
and it's beautiful. And I do like it as well, so I'm also looking forward to like listening to the other soundtrack of the series, which I haven't listened to, especially the latest one, so I don't know.
They have
Mm.
Hans Zimmer on the most recent one, I think.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
god.
kind of similar style. I'm not as big of a fan of his style, like a lot of his more recent stuff, but like they are going Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. You guys definitely covered most of it, but yeah, I enjoyed this one too. The blend of the vocals and like the drums and like all these like dramatic like swells. It all comes together really well, and just the way it builds up over those first 2 minutes, and then the climax or like the payoff for like the last minute, the way it all comes together in the end, I think is really satisfying. I don't think every song needs that either, but I think if you're going to do it, like, I always appreciate when it does it well. So it was a nice like slow build up to that point. Even though I still agree with what everyone said, like it does feel like a little bit restrained. I like the idea of it being like, this is just a hint of what you're going to get. I still think like on its own, within that, I still find the journey of it really satisfying. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It is still like, it does still like build up, right? And like there's like this grandness to it. But I just, coming off of like Somnus and Dearly Beloved, two similar songs, this one feels, it is less grand for lack of a better word. Like, I don't know, like maybe it's just me.
It plays like in the main menu like as well, like the menus past the title screen and even like the loading. So in a way, it's kind of like ushering you into the game. So usually, like when I would boot up the game, I would get just to the the drums, the war drum part, as the game would kind of lead into the actual game itself. But so maybe in a way, like, and if you listen to the whole song, the ending kind of like da da, like jumping into like whatever comes next. Like I think you nailed it with like this restraint of there's more to come. There's more like elves. There's more war. And it is like, I think Tin, you mentioned like in the beginning, it underwater, you said like it sounds very like mournful, like the elves are like lamenting this kind of war, and like yeah, I do love that push and pull in there. But I'm also biased. I mean, this is the song that got me into the series, I would say, but now it has like extra special meaning to me. But yeah.
All right. Well, that seems like a good time to pivot to Xenoblade.
Well, what can I say about Off-Seer? The very first time I listened to this track is when I first got the game, and like just first few seconds I was already blown away, and that I didn't even expect that it would surprise me more by the time it would hit more than 50 seconds already. And like for those like who have played the game and have listened to the soundtrack, you would know that there are a lot of tracks that are like super high energy as well, and like very grand as well. But this Off-Seer track is like a lullaby. Like a huge contrast to a lot of the tracks in the soundtrack, because it's just so quiet. It's like the calm before the storm, and it it's really moving, I'd say. And those uh how Mitsuda played the tempo from beginning to end is just marvelous to me. So it's like I don't know. This is just like one of the best title screen music, I'd say. So yeah, I think Gio also had a lot of things to say regarding this track.
Yeah. Well, you're like Matt, right? Like you really like you just left it on, like you just
Yeah,
leave it on because like you let it
yeah, for a
wash over
few
you.
minutes. Like even my dog would sleep
Yeah.
to it before.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Points. Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a Xenoblade 3 nerd, so of course I love this song. Like the main thing I know about it is that it's Noah's theme basically. It's like a it's not like Noah's. It carries Noah's motif. The song that he plays on his flute, but it's like a piano expression of it, and it's like a kind of like a window into like how his feelings as you start the game. He's like a very introspective like protagonist, and the song is like essentially like what I would say is like the soundtrack to his brain or something like that. And yeah, it's just a really really lovely piano piece. Piano songs tend to start all
Mhm.
the mainline Xenoblade games except X, right? And many people gravitate towards like the first one, the Yoko Shimomura one.
Version.
Yeah, I would say this stands toe to toe with that one. In my estimation, it's very meaningful if you're like a big fan of the game, like and if you're a fan of Noah, like I am. It's like a good, it's like a portrait of him as a song.
Mm.
That's how I feel, and yeah, it's a good intro to the game. It works well as a title screen for that reason.
Listening to this, I haven't played any of the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, which that's another one like Atelier, like I'm really itching to get into. But like listening to just this track, I imagine like a crackling campfire, So when I looked up the
Mhm.
actual title screen, and it was like another kind of wind-swept plain, just like the first game
Yeah.
as well. And like the wind sound effects are mixed in. I thought, oh, it's interesting. Like, it's hard not to compare it to the other like somber piano intro to Xanarkand from Final Fantasy X. Even though that one is very melancholy, this one to me felt very reflective and like, I it's not down in a way. Like it is like a little bit hopeful towards the end of it. Like it
Yeah.
gets more and more hopeful. And I read somewhere like the other day from Mitsuda, he said that as much, that it's like reflecting the cost of war on like Noah and like the rest of the cast. And I'm just saying those names because that's what Gio said. But he did name drop Noah in like the interview that I read. And then yeah, he said it's like it does like uplift tonally, like towards the end of it, like leaving room for hope there. It's a really beautiful and like understated intro. I really like it.
Yeah. Well, you saying that you've never played Xenoblade really excites me because like because when you do when you do eventually get around to playing it, like I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions because like I'm gonna be very curious to see what you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to. My only experience is like, who is this like naked kid in Super Smash Brothers? Like. But now I'm yeah.
He's really feeling it. Whatever. It's a meme.
Oh my god.
I see you also always play with people who insist on playing with Shulk in his trunks.
Of course. We love to annoy each other, me and my friends. So.
I might as well say I haven't played them, but I feel like 90 hours in X and however many hours in the first one, I've at least dipped my toe in, but need to play more of it. It's my whole thing about needing to do side quests. That's why I haven't finished the first one yet, because I'm like, I try to do every side quest before I leave an area, and it takes up a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that anymore. Yeah, like after like The Witcher 3, I'm like, okay, lady, I need to get your frying pan. Like, come on, like what am I doing? So I just skip a lot of that now.
Yeah, I mean, I try to prioritize at least. Like I wish more games would do like what Final Fantasy 14 does, where like there's a different marker on certain side quests that like
All
are a
right.
little more important and worth doing. So I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
just do those in that game, and I can leave the other ones for later if I feel like it. It makes it more approachable.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. But anyway, is there any piece of music from this game that isn't gorgeous? Every time it comes up, I'm just like beside myself. And I this was actually at the end of my notes originally, but since you mentioned it, Gio, it's really hard not to draw the comparison to the first game's title screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you. I actually would rank it up there next to it, even though the first Xenoblade's title screen is one of my favorite title screen like songs, but also just visual title screens. There's something really
True.
special about that one, which of course is why it was on our first episode, or our first time we did this topic in episode 71. If it hadn't been on there, I probably would have brought it for this one because it's a personal favorite of mine. So that I feel that strongly about it and feel like this could equal it is impressive to me. But I know all the Xeno games, Xenoblade and beyond, really. They all have one form or another of great soundtrack, and a lot of them have really, really cool like big bombastic pieces. Which, side note, go listen to our recent Xenoblade X episode if you want some of that. But the more I hear from 3, the more I think it features. It may have like some of the most like subtle and delicate music of the trilogy.
Yeah.
It's just just this piece alone is just so touching and serene. It's just beautiful. What a great way to start the game.
I remember back in the rhythm encounter with the woodwind topic where Gio brought like a Xenoblade 3 track that was like so beautiful. Yeah, that really put the soundtrack on my radar even more. That was Xenoblade 3, I think, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Elements of that song find their way here, like the motif, because like if I remember, like that song is like a intertwining motifs of Noah and Mio, the main characters of the game. This one is all Noah, but it's like it's like as part of like a piano arrangement, I guess. So yeah, I'm glad you like that.
So this is like the half, like
Noah's half of the melody.
Was the woodwind episode? Was that also when we, Gio or one of us, like we talked about how they actually physically made these flutes for the game?
Oh yeah, the flutes.
That was that was really impressive.
Yeah, the effort they put into these soundtracks,
above and beyond.
Yeah. Well, are we ready for our final block then?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, Gio.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one. What's your second song today?
I'm bringing Metropolitan Edge composed by none other than Akira Yamaoka from the game The 25th Ward, The Silver Case.
Beautiful. All right, so my song is the title screen to Soul Blazer, which I didn't realize had this specific title. I assumed it was one of those games that would just be called title screen, but no, it is called Invitation to the Overworld, and that is by Yukihide Takekawa. So let's go listen, and we'll be right back.
So I'm pretty certain that's like the first time Akira Yamaoka's ever been on Rhythm Encounter. I think that's like the main reason why I brought this song, because like I love Akira Yamaoka so much, but I rarely get a chance. I don't think there's many chances to bring him on because he's only ever done this game that's like in our coverage. So yeah, I'm glad to finally bring him on, and I think this song, Metropolitan Edge, is like kind of a showstopper. It's like one of those songs that when I first heard it kind of floored me, because I don't know what I was expecting, but the thump of that bass, that beat, that industrial beat is something else. Like it's just, it really demands your attention, and it doesn't let go for the whole song. Because to explain a bit, the 25th Ward, The Silver Case, is the sequel to The Silver Case, and Flower, Sun, and Rain is the third game in that. It's a loose trilogy. This is more of a direct sequel to the original The Silver Case. It's a visual novel adventure game series.
Also a bit of a horror.
A little bit, like it's a little
Thriller?
bit scary. It's like a thriller. It's by the famous Suda51, the famous composer, the guy behind Grasshopper Manufacture. You probably played games like Killer 7, No More Heroes. These games are a little bit less well known than those games, but there's like this through line across all his games of like not just like the sense of style, but like similar themes. It's like I actually don't fully understand it myself, but he calls it like kill the past, like this idea of like moving on from things that have been holding you back in the past. I'm probably butchering it. If any Suda fans are listening, I'm sorry, but I just don't fully understand what he's going for. But I just really, really like the music. He always makes it a point to have really good music. Normally he works with composers like Masafumi Takada, and with this game he worked with Akira Yamaoka, and I think he also worked with him on Shadows of the Damned, I think. This song works like as an intro to like this cyberpunk dystopian world of the 25th Ward. So like you can imagine like a camera, like I imagine like a camera panning through like this dark city all messed up. It's funny because like the 25th Ward doesn't exist in real life, right? Like there's only like 24 wards in Tokyo. I'm sure Matt knows this because you live there, but
oh yeah, I know all about Tokyo. I live in Chiba, but it's
it's nearby, right? Like it's like next.
I'm not. I used to work in Tokyo, yeah, but I'm not cool enough to hang out in these like 25 wards. You know, I'm a small town boy.
Well, yeah. That's the interesting thing about the Silver Case, is that the 25th Ward doesn't exist really. It's like this. It's just made for the game. It's like a secret ward where all sorts of crimes are happening, and so you're like. Actually, it's kind of like a fever dream, the whole game, because you're not really sure what's going on for the most part. You just kind of let it wash over you, and yeah, I don't know. It's one of when I bring songs to the rhythm, it's just like I like song sounds good, like song sounds cool, and I just love how this song really sets up the game. It sets up the cold, horrible, dark vibes of the 25th Ward. So yeah, this song, if you like this song, you should check out the whole game, because it's more of this grim darkness. Yeah,
I think I will be. Yeah, this was another like great pick. Like you said, like the industrial, like I love the down-tuned guitar rhythm, like the crunchiness of that, and like the squealing of the you know, it's barely a rhythm, but it is a rhythm, you know, like it did remind me in some ways of like the Citizen Sleeper soundtracks, but like much more heavy though. Like you wouldn't find anything this like grabbing or heavy or creepy in those games, you know, but like the coolness is there, the the unattached, mechanization of it, I guess, like the but Metropolitan Edge, what a perfect title for like that style. And like this is the kind of music, like if I ever do make my way back into Tokyo, this is going to be what I'm listening to and like feeling the coolest, like don't mess with me, kind of, I'm unhinged kind of thing. But yeah, I really like this track. And like it kind of like what is it, like Shin Megami Tensei 4, like a little bit of that like industrial and like strangeness to it, like but
absolutely
really cool.
it wouldn't feel out of place in like a Shin Megami Tensei album.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great track, really loved it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, before my actual notes, I have two quick things. One, to follow up on earlier, while we were recording, I did check, and yes, Ben has played Community Palm.
Oh my god.
He didn't say he finished it, but he said he played some of it. So you were right, Gio.
Wow.
Second, Gio, I am with you that this is not someone we usually get to have on the show. So while you were talking, I looked up his 147 credits on VGMDB. And yeah, this is one of the only ones that would land for us. The only other options are one track on Moon that he's credited with. Some like arrangement work on Symphony of the Night, or one of the Castlevanias at least, and an arrangement song on the Sword and Sorcery. There was a Sword and Sorcery arrangement album where they had Japanese composers remix different songs. So like each one was remixed by someone else, and he did one of them. Otherwise, it's a lot of Silent Hill and some other things, which is where I know him from. So I'm glad we can at least I'm glad you did this just to briefly get it on there, because I've always been a fan of his Silent Hill work, even though I don't play Silent Hill, but the music is so good. Yeah, also a fan, and it's kind of cool to be able to like at least briefly discuss that here. But this song, pretty much the polar opposite of Community Palm, right? You went two completely different directions in this episode. It's like there's no bubbly pop or anything here. This is just like gritty, funky music. Makes me think of just dark alleys and CD clubs, or at least what I imagine the soundtracks would be. Because admittedly, I've never been. I don't spend time in dark alleys and CD clubs in real life. But if I did, this is what I'd want to hear there. That deep bass and the strumming, and just the way the song evolves and other instruments come in, and then when it culminates with like those like kind of like they should be off-putting. That like there's a couple like little like screechy sounds and a little bit of vocal-ish accents, which did give me some like SMT or Persona vibes too. I did think about that. I'm like, there's something about this. It's just fascinating. Just the different places this song goes, really, really cool. I appreciate you bringing it on.
Does anybody remember the intro to Batman Beyond, the TV show?
Oh
No.
It's I'm sorry. Like, maybe the listeners are like, oh yeah, like it's really got the same like kind of cyberpunky, like
Same
gritty vibe. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I mean it's very Gotham.
Yeah,
Like-
while you guys were talking earlier as well, I was actually imagining that this might sound like it's like Gotham City or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
okay,
location
Mhm.
perfectly fits for this music.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm gonna check out later, because like I'm curious if there's like any connective tissue.
For all we know,
But,
it could be
yeah,
Akira Yamaoka. He's
Yeah, like outside his usual his usual work when it comes to horror themes and tracks and music. I also didn't expect he did this, and it's a bit of a surprise. It does still feel like him. Like it also, I feel like it can also fall into a Silent Hill soundtrack as well. But at the same time, it's pretty cool that I can imagine that specific title. Like I can visually imagine a metropolitan area that's like very edgy or very dangerous feeling with a bit of eeriness to it as well. So once again, he's really just like a master when it comes to like um making music for these kind of games, I'd say.
Mhm.
And the usual case as well for like some horror games or some thriller or mystery games is like most of the time, or just based on my experience, like the music would always fall flat in those kind of games. But if it's something made by Akira, it never fails. So I'm glad you brought this here. So it's
Awesome.
a good discovery for everyone.
Nice. This was actually the first song on my playlist ever, so I'm glad it's finally seen the light of day. Like I've finally been able to share it
The first song
outside
on
of
what
myself.
playlist?
On my playlist of like video game music discoveries, like
Oh,
songs like I've
Cool.
heard for like the first time. Yeah.
very nice.
I thought you were gonna say like my vigilante playlist or something, like when I go out at night and beat up thugs. Yeah.
I'm Batman.
My Batman playlist.
Yeah.
Alas, I'm more of a palm in real life.
Oh, right.
All right, let's talk about some Soul Blazer, shall we?
Hell yeah.
I played this game so much when I was younger. The way the song starts, like immediately with those bass tones and the way it builds up, it reminds me a little bit, not exactly musically, but just again the build up itself, a little bit of the intro for A Link to the Past. But then it shifts over to like this kind of like this march, and actually, like I didn't actually pair these together because of this, but when I was listening to them back to back, musically very different from the our last song, but I did get the sense of a similar thing where like they kind of build and expand and evolve as they go, even though this is a much shorter song. But yeah, I have such a soft spot for high adventure 16-bit music. So from like music to gameplay and world building, like I don't really feel like anyone was really doing what Quintet was doing at the time. That their games are just so good at capturing my attention, like with their gameplay and the premise of each of the games. And I don't want to go too off track with the games itself. Like I feel like gameplay wise and stuff, probably the Heaven and Earth trilogy got better with each one, like visually and control wise and everything. Like Terranigma is the most polished of the three, but I always just adored this first one. Just the loop of like fighting and restoring the world never got old for me, and I thought all of the music across this game was good, and it all started with this really dramatic introduction to the game.
I love that you brought this track, Mike. I was hoping that there would be some more retro stuff on here, and if not, I was going to put something from like the Famicom or Super Famicom. And yeah, just because it has that, like the title perfectly like sums it up, like welcome to the overworld. Like it's ushering you in and like come have an adventure. Like I love how funky it is and like the little tinny horn sections. And it was really reminiscent of like, because this came out in 92, it was reminiscent of like those early Super Famicom sound palettes. Like I was trying to think like, what game does this sound like to me? And I was like, oh yeah, it's a lot like Super Castlevania 4, like the funky bass and like, I don't know, just like the funness of it. Like, yeah, so I really enjoyed this track. And yeah, just great adventuring theme.
Have you played the game?
I have not. No, now I'm like how did I miss this one? It's an Enix game, right? So I if it comes out on like Switch Online or something like that, if it's not already, I'm gonna give it a shot. I think.
Oh my god.
It is not.
No.
It's one of those things where it's this weird, like, I assume Square Enix owns the rights, but I feel like people aren't completely sure. Last time I heard of who's in charge of it, or maybe they do and they just don't care to do anything with it.
I think it's the latter, but I can't say for sure. But for me, my thoughts on this was like, oh, it makes sense that it was paired with Metropolitan Edge because like it's very rhythmic. It's following that beat that kind of like it really encourages you to like get pumped for the adventure to come. It's very Zelda-y that way. It's not dissimilar from the Hyrule Field theme, and I like it for that reason. Like it's nostalgic, and it's just something. It's another one of those title screens that's probably nice to put on in the background, like to get yourself
A bit hyped
a
up.
bit hyped up before you play. I really like it.
Yeah, I also did like notice the similarities with the last track when it comes to the beat, as you mentioned. Like the previous one had the thumping sound all throughout, and this one has that consistent drum beat as well. And you can even hear it over at the background along with the other tunes coming out. And like as you also mentioned, it also gave me that old school Zelda vibes. That's that kind of adventure I'm seeing, or I'm expecting to have. And as someone also who hasn't played this game, I also don't know exactly how it plays, but my guess, because of this title music, is like it's going to be like also like a grand adventure thing, but more of like the warrior kind of protagonist. So yeah, it's also very straightforward, I'd say, but there's also a lot of complexity to it as the tune goes on. Simple, but it delivers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would actually compare it a little bit to Zelda, like old school top-down Zeldas, and specifically with a sword that's a little too short, so maybe a hint of Zelda 2. Oh, you know what? There was one thing I forgot to mention. As much as I like this game and the music, this is not a composer I've ever really looked up, and unless I missed something on his 266 album discography, this might be the only game.
Holy cow.
If it's not the only game, it's one of the only games. Everything else is
Wow.
like TV, anime, and some other stuff. So I'm not really sure how that happened. 1992, so in Japan it's called Soul Blader. And like Winning Post 2, I think that's horse racing. Yeah. Okay, so a very small number of video games. So really interesting. And he still does stuff.
I feel like that's common for back then. Like maybe like a composer like starts out doing VGM, but then quickly moves on to do like quote unquote bigger opportunities, like in movies or TV. I feel like
right. Yeah, but I mean,
know why,
but in this case, like it was in the middle. Like his earliest credits are for a motion picture called House in 1977.
Oh wait, that movie?
I guess I don't know.
Horror movie? House? Is that or
might be different.
am I thinking of the same movie? Which I haven't seen, by the way. I just know, I'm aware of it.
You're thinking of the Doctor, I think, the guy with the cane. No, bad joke.
I can't.
Oh my god!
I can't confirm if it's a horror movie based on the cover art, but yes, his first credit is for a Japanese movie in 1977 called House, and then a ton of credits, and then in 1992 a video game, and then a bunch of other things that aren't games. So really interesting. Like I don't know who you'd even talk to find out like how that came to be, but if the answer is out there somewhere, I'm curious now that I've looked it up.
I'm guessing that in Japan he's quite popular because he did the soundtrack for like the Galaxy Express 999, like that space train movie that's really popular here, or it was.
Oh.
And then a show called Saiyuki, which I've heard of and I've seen reruns on TV. It's like their Journey to the West. I think in English they call it Monkey, but from like the late 70s. But yeah, so like pretty big stuff like for the general public, I think.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that was a great lineup of songs. So thank you everyone for all your contributions today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, please come back anytime.
Yeah, please. You were great, Matt.
Mhm.
Oh, stop it, you guys. No, I was really excited to be on this show, so I was looking forward to it for a long time. Honestly, like this was the first like podcast on the network that I got into, and like if you told me like half a year ago that I'd be like on the show, like I would have been like, what? Like no way, come on. But so it's really fun. It's really great to be here.
I'm glad.
And you do a great job, Mike. You're a great host, so I love the show.
What?
I'll say it louder. You're a great host.
You don't need to suck up to me. You're already on the show.
Don't make me say it again.
Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. I try my best. Okay, so let's do some housekeeping stuff, and then Matt, since it's your first time, you'll be introducing a bonus track that none of us know what it is yet, but I'm excited to learn. But before we get to that, we had some debuts on this episode for Rhythm Encounter. This was our first time featuring music from Atelier Ryza, the 25th Ward, and unsurprisingly, Community Palm. Always happy to have new stuff on the show, so thank you for all of those. Coming up next on Rhythm Encounter, we are doing another sequel to an older episode in a couple weeks. We're revisiting forest themes. That one is an old one. That's like episode 30 something that we did the first forest theme. So it's been a really long time in coming back. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to revisit forest themes, and then after that we're doing an episode on mobile RPGs, which, as much of us may not be fans of many mobile RPGs, there's shockingly good music out there. So even if you don't play them, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So look forward to that one. If you have thoughts on this episode, you can email us and me at music@rpgfan.com. If people want to reach you, Gio, what's the best way?
Yeah, you can find me on Discord. I go by Tenbistar, TENBI star, or you can email me at gio@rpgfan.com.
Okay, and Tin?
Similar to Geo, you can find me on RPG Fan Discord. I'm literally named as Tin there, and you can also email me at tin@rpgfan.com.
All right, and last, how about you, Matt?
Yeah, just please read my stuff that's going up on RPG Fan's site. And could I give a quick shout out to my manager at my old school who listens to the show now? His name's Yukiya. He's an amazing guy. And he plays like regularly RPG music in the lobby of the school. So I'll come in for work and he'll be playing like Nier Automata or something, so really great guy, really great, taste in music. So, shout out to Yukiya. I miss working with you, but yeah, so I'd like to dedicate my slot to that.
Yeah, that is so fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing video game music with more people.
Yeah, happy to.
He's the coolest manager I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yukiya.
If you enjoyed this episode, Rhythm Encounter is not the only show on the RPG Fan Podcast Network. We also have Random Encounter and Retro Encounter. All of our shows are bi-weekly. Random Encounter is bi-weekly opposite Rhythm Encounter, so every other Monday. And most recently, they did an episode on the first Berserker, Kazan, Souls-like that seems to be too hard for most people, because we were not the only website that posted a impressions or review in progress versus a finished review, or a review based on a finished game. And they also talked about AI Limit. So go listen to that. Over on Retro Encounter, they are bi-weekly every other Thursday. Their most recent episode was a fantasy draft for BioWare games. I have not heard that one yet as of this recording, but those draft episodes are always a good time, so check that out. And then next week, they're starting a 2-episode revisit on Suikoden 1 and 2. They're doing 1 episode for each of the 2 games in honor of the recent remasters. So there's a lot of excitement on the staff about those games and those episodes, so I know those will be good. You can find RPG Fan on most social media. Links to all those are in our show notes. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. We have a Twitch, YouTube, Discord. Our website is rpgfan.com. Along with RPG news, reviews, and podcasts, and other feature articles. You can find our shop there too. So if you want some RPG Fan merch or our review card collection book, you can find all of that at rpgfan.com/shop. And I don't have anything definitive yet, but I am working on some new merch. I don't know when that will be, but hopefully that'll be a little bit later this year. So keep an eye on our shop. And lastly, if you enjoyed this show, we would love it if you could review or subscribe or thumbs up or upvote or wherever it is you get your podcasts, whatever the thing is that you can do to support us or just share it with other people, we would appreciate it. You can even just share the show with, I don't know, your former manager and get the word out that way. So whatever you do, we appreciate. So thank you in advance for that. And that brings us to the end, and I'm excited about this. I have no idea what we're in for. So Matt, what is our bonus track that we're ending with today?
Okay, so I kicked it around a lot, and I ended up with something that I didn't even run by you guys before. It's never been covered on Rhythm Encounter at all, like the entire series, even though it's heavily on the site. I'm going with Golden Hour by the composer Jonathan Morali, en français, from the game Life is Strange. So I wanted to end with like something very twinkly and beautiful and like not too, I wanted to end on a down note, like a happy little mellow. Yeah.
Amazing choice.
Wow, yeah, you're right. We've never had that on the show.
Can't believe we never had that.
Yeah. All right.
So
Fantastic.
yeah, this is a Golden Hour.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Let's go listen to Golden Hour. And thank you all for being here and making this such a great episode. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you in a couple weeks for Forest Music.
what's the vibe?